Welcome to Free Thought Matters. I'm Annie Laurie Gaylor.
And I'm Dan Barker. Annie Laurie and I are directors of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which produces this weekly TV talk show. FFRF is a national association of freethinkers. That's atheists, agnostics, and other non-believers. And we work to uphold the constitutional separation between state and church.
And we invite you to join FFRF today in our very vital work so that reason and our secular constitution will prevail. You can sign up at our website, ffrf.org, or ask for a free copy of our newspaper, Free Thought Today.
We have a unique and very brave guest on today's show. Dave Warnock is a former minister, like myself, who has become an atheist. Dave Warnock spent 37 years as a Southern charismatic evangelical pastor in Tennessee. And I know what all that's all about, the speaking in tongues and the faith healing. Then he saw the light. After recently learning that he has a terminal illness, ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, Dave has launched a speaking tour that he calls Dying Out Loud.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here.
So you used to be a true believer and you were waiting for the second coming of Jesus. I mean, you were really into it 100%. You were an associate pastor and a lead pastor and a worship leader?
Yeah, I did a little bit of everything over the years, yeah.
Wow.
In Arkansas and Tennessee, the two states I lived in most of the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you weren't faking, you really believed it.
Yeah, and I was all in. I got saved in the Jesus Saved, born again, baptized with the Holy Spirit, with evidence of speaking in tongues, the real thing, the real thing. At the age of 18, in the 70s, I was in the Jesus movement. I was a Jesus freak. Did coffee house ministry, street ministry. I was all in.
So you call yourself a charismatic. Some of our viewers may not know what that means. What does that mean, a charismatic evangelical?
That's a term that's kind of broadly describes a group of people who believe in the baptism of the Holy Spirit, the gift of healing, tongues, miracles, that the same things that happen in the Bible still happen today, that kind of thing. So it's not a real denomination per se. It's just a kind of a term that defines how you believe.
So you did that for over 30 years, and then something happened. And what happened?
I woke up. It was a gradual process. It wasn't like I woke up one day and said, "Oh, forget you, God." It was a process of discovery and examination. For the first time, examining my faith, sadly, and realizing that that didn't add up. There were too many questions that didn't have answers.
And you're on a speaking tour, Dying Out Loud, and you talk about this. And so we have a clip of you talking about how you finally came to examine religion. Let's look at that.
Okay. It's embarrassing to admit now that I never once, until late in life, stopped and made an examination of the faith to which I'd given my life. And I never really examined what it was all about, where it came from, what the origins of it were, what it was. Where'd it come? What is this all about? I never compared it. I didn't sit down. And most people of faith never do this. They never sit down and say, let me lay out all the religions of the world and do a careful analysis of each one, and then I'm going to choose the one that makes the most sense to me. We don't do that. We just assume the one we're born into. And whatever part of the world you happen to be born into, that's the religion you're going to assume. So when I began to examine some things like that, the exclusivity of faith, the atonement, those kind of things began more and more to bother me. The concept of hell began to really bother me. And so I let go of Christianity.
You let go of Christianity. That must have been psychologically very difficult to do.
It was traumatic. I didn't know anybody that had been through that. Strangely enough, we have a connection through the Clergy Project. Yeah. And I first heard, you're one of the first people I heard of, you and Jerry DeWitt, in searching, trying to find somebody who had been through something because I knew no one personally that I could talk to and say, here's what's happened to me. I no longer believe in God. I don't know what to do. I was traumatized and disoriented.
Did you not even know another atheist?
No.
So it wasn't just another member of the clergy who became an atheist.
No, atheists had horns and sacrificed babies. How would I know any of them? So, and I felt totally alone. Yeah.
Well, that was the same for me, but mine was way before the internet. At least you could find Jerry. Jerry's also a Southern Louisiana evangelical pastor, and I guess our atheist apostleship is working. We're finding other people to.
You're reaching the
Isn't
lost.
the Clergy Project over 900 now?
The Clergy Project
over
is
1,000. They reached 1,000
that's right.
just last month.
the Clergy Project is for former professional clergy who have become atheists and agnostics.
Right.
Clergyproject.org. So I've heard you say that evangelical Christianity creates a disease that then it tries to heal.
Yeah, it creates a problem that they have the only answer for. It's a made-up problem. Like you have this terminal disease that if you don't come to us for the answers and for the help, you're going to die from this, and you're going to suffer an eternity of torture because you didn't get the disease healed.
So you were a true believer in the idea of hell, too, correct? And you said that really came to trouble you.
Yeah, because, I really took the Bible literally. I was a literalist. I believed in the inerrancy of Scripture, that it was truly inspired by the Holy Spirit. And so if it was in the Bible, I had to believe it. And so that hell is a concept that's clearly taught in the Bible, probably more so than heaven if you looked at verse by verse. So I had to buy into it, but it was always troublesome for me. And it became more and more problematic, the concept of a loving God creating a place of eternal torment for a vast majority of the population that's ever been born. That's a big deal. That's a problem.
Yeah,
It's a big problem.
A big problem.
We hear about this loving Jesus, the Lamb of God, who preaches peace and
Gentleness
all of that.
and love.
And yet he talked about the lake of fire that burns, and those will be cast into
weeping and gnashing of teeth that never quenches, and separation of the sheep and the goats. And he talked about hell a lot more than people want to think that he did.
Well, he's the first one to popularize it. The Old Testament didn't have any hell.
No hell in the
Along
Old
came
Testament.
Christianity, and then pow. So that shows that you have a heart. I mean, you can't imagine. You're the kind of person who can't imagine people suffering like that.
No, I think it's horrendous. I think it's the most, that concept alone, I mean, I talk about a lot of evangelical issues that I have problems with, but that concept, the concept of hell, and that the loving God would create a place like that for a vast majority of the human population over history is something that I think does irreparable damage to the brand.
Yeah,
period.
but what if it's true? You hear that?
Yeah, I guess I should hedge my bets since I've got this thing going on now.
So when you left the ministry, this was your whole world, your family, your friends. I understand you've had some shunning from this.
Yeah, I've got 3 adult children, and they're all married and have families. And my 2 adult daughters had trouble with the atheist word, as a lot of people do. Because when I came to the realization I no longer believed, I felt an obligation to tell people. And looking back, I may have done it a little differently. But I did what I did, and I felt like I needed to be honest with the people in my life, family and friends. And I just told them, I said, this is where I'm at. I don't believe anymore. And my daughters couldn't handle it. And their response, because of the church they were in, the practice was to shun, to disassociate, to break relationship. And my son did not go down that path, so he and I have always had a good relationship. And they've had trouble with me since. That's been 8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 years.
Well, that shows the harm of religion, because it creates walls between people, and when it puts dogma over humanity.
Yeah, and going back to Jesus, it's all be flowers and puppies. He wasn't all flowers and puppies. He himself said, if you love your family more than me, you're not worthy to follow me. And I'm going to not bring peace. I'm going to bring a sword, and I'm going to divide family members. He said that.
Not only that, but you need to
Bible.
hate your family.
Exactly, and love me. So that's not a real nice dude.
Yeah.
So what is your message today, then, as a former minister who's now an atheist?
My message today is, this is the one life we have. And if you're not living this life to the fullest that you can, don't treat this life as a dress rehearsal for eternity. I talk about this term, the fetish for the afterlife, that evangelical Christians have, wherein they put more focus on eternal life than they do this life that we know we have. And I find that it causes people to not live their best life and to grab all the moments that they can in this life.
So the dress rehearsal is the show.
It's the show,
right?
man.
You go out on stage, there's no audience there. You've already done it.
This is it. This is the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Get all you can get.
other reactions from former believers and family, former colleagues?
Yeah, I've over the years, most of the people that couldn't accept me for who I am moved away. They kind of drifted away out of my life. I never cut anybody off out of my life, but some people, my philosophy in living is, if you can accept me for who I am, the person I am, then I'm fine with you being in my life, whether you're a believer or not. But if you can't be okay with who I am, then I'm sorry. That's not my problem. It's yours.
So since leaving the ministry 8 years ago, becoming an atheist, an open atheist, how has your life changed?
I've become the best, most authentic version of myself I've ever been. More at peace with myself, more moral than I've ever been, because I don't make distinctions between people. All people are humans. We're all doing the best we can, and we're living our best life. And so I don't differentiate between good and bad, black and white, lost and saved. It's just humans. And so I feel like I'm the best version of me that I've ever been as an atheist, because I'm able to look at life for what it is and to accept it for what it is, and not try to factor in where some deities is fitting into how the world's working. Because as we can see, a deity doesn't factor into the world very well. It doesn't look like the world has anybody doing
Watching over
anything
us.
for it. Right. It's just happening.
Well, you said that you used to believe that Jesus was coming any minute, as I did too.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like maybe tomorrow could be the day, and that kept not happening and not happening and not happening, and you almost are wasting your time waiting for something that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and so doesn't that expectation of the second coming cheapen life?
Oh, it absolutely does. I put off going to college and never got there.
Oh.
Because Jesus, it was so urgent that we reach the lost that I didn't have time to go to college and get a career and waste all my time trying to make money. We had lost people to save. So that was the urgency that I felt. And this was in the mid-70s now. He's way late, y'all.
Yeah. Well, maybe FFRF can grant Dave Warnock an honorary doctorate or something.
Dr.
because-
Dave.
Yeah, we could do a Dr. Dave thing. So we're talking with Dave Warnock. He's a former minister who's turned atheist. And when we come back from the break, we'll talk about his speaking tour. It's called Dying Out Loud, which he launched after learning in February of this year, of 2019, that he has Lou Gehrig's disease. So stay tuned for Dave Warnock's advice on approaching death and dying.
Hi, I'm Ron Reagan, an unabashed atheist, and I'm alarmed by the intrusions of religion into our secular government. That's why I'm asking you to support the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest and most effective association of atheists and agnostics, working to keep state and church separate, just like our founding fathers intended. Please support the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Ron Reagan, lifelong atheist, not afraid of burning in hell.
My name is Gabrielle Hinahara, and I'm an atheist because I believe in the power of doing good for the sake of doing good, and not because some divine entity tells you what is good and what's not, and not because you think it will get you into some sort of heavenly afterlife. I believe in human morality, which is why I think that most cultures across the world have come to the kind of same basic principles and values, such as the Golden Rule, which isn't based in religion, but is based in human interactions and mutual respect. And I think a lot of people turn to religion because it makes the choice of morality really easy, black and white, right and wrong, and you don't have to decide which is which. And in my experience as being an atheist through my life, I've found that moral choices are something that I think about a lot more than a lot of other people because nobody's telling me the answer. And since I don't believe in an afterlife, pretty much my whole meaning in life is based on my interactions with other people and that I can leave this world a better place by my actions.
Thank you for watching Free Thought Matters. You can find more content by the Freedom from Religion Foundation at our website, ffrf.org. Follow FFRF on Facebook, and you'll get notifications about all of our content, including whenever we go live on FFRF's Ask an Atheist. FFRF is also on YouTube, where all of our programs, including this show and our weekly news bites, are available to watch anytime. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the web.
And welcome back to Free Thought Matters. We're talking with Dave Warnock about becoming an atheist after 37 years as a charismatic evangelical pastor in the South. And then, after learning he has a terminal illness, ALS, starting a speaking tour that he calls Dying Out Loud.
So let's take a look at this clip from your Dying Out Loud tour.
So the diagnosis is pretty grim. It's 3 to 5 years life expectancy from diagnosis. I've seen people live a lot longer, and I've seen people go quicker. So it's just unknown. And I don't know how long I've got functionality. I don't know how long I can do this. If I can't do this, what's the point of living? So my goal is to live as hard and as much as I can. And so when I got the diagnosis, I made some really rapid decisions. I retired from the work I was doing. I moved in with friends. So I retired. I started selling off stuff that I knew I'd never use again. Golf clubs, not going to hit a golf ball again. Guitar, not going to play guitar again. And I just embraced it and made a decision to do what I'm doing now, which is what we call dying out loud. Traveling to see places I want to see. I just got back from Italy last month with some good friends. I'm traveling and doing as much of this as I can. Maria's booking me on podcasts and speaking. I just want to talk about dying with dignity. I want to talk about living out loud, living your best life, not letting life pass you by.
So you have this illness that must be very acute, must be very scary. You know, we all know that none of us are getting out of this alive. We all know that. We're all mortal. But for you, that door is approaching. And what do you say about that? You say you're not afraid of dying. You're afraid of not living, right?
Missing life, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I've said this a lot in podcasts and things I've done, but I don't want to sound, have some kind of false bravado. I'm not afraid of dying, kind of thing, because none of us really know until we're there how we're going to feel, and until that moment is there. It's just in theory, like death is something, and I think that's one thing that has resonated with a lot of people in this talking that I've been doing is nobody's talking about dying. Because it's something nobody knows about. It's this great mystery, this other side that we don't have any knowledge of. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been talking about it, dealing with the disease. It's an unknown. I don't know how long I have. It's a slow progressing. ALS is a very mysterious disease, and some people have a very fast progressing. Mine is fairly slow. The symptoms are not decreasing or progressing as fast as some, and so I'm thankful for that, and so I'm just doing what I can with what I have.
So you used to preach hope after death, life, that there was a life after death, and now how do you look at it?
It's the great void. It's the lights go off and that's it. I think that's it. And now, if there's if we return to the universe or to matter or whatever, I don't really know. And I don't really care, because there's nothing I can do about that. What I can do is I can do something about this side of the wall, this side of the curtain. I can focus on living my best life and maximizing the moments and having the relationships that I want to have and being with the people I want to be with and seeing the places I want to see. And that's kind of what I began to do when I got the diagnosis. I just began to put the hammer down and live as much as I could live. And focus on the things that I had control over, because with this disease, it's ALS kind of it's a thing they say it's always losing something. You continue to lose strength in parts of your body, so you lose the ability to use your hands, you lose the ability to walk, you lose the ability to talk, and so it's a gradual progression of just loss.
But not necessarily in that order. It could be different
it could be
order.
any order. Mine's in hands and arms, but I can still talk fine and walk fine, and it's moving slow. So All we can do with that knowledge is to say, well, what can I do now? What can I do? I can travel, I can speak, I can spend time with people, I can focus on the things that I have control over and not worry about the things that I don't.
And it's obviously important to you to talk about your atheism because that's a vital part of this tour, Dying Out Loud.
Yeah.
To share the real news about reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think the word atheist it's loaded. You know, it's a loaded word. It elicits a response in people. Like when you say I'm an atheist, they think you're going to harvest their organs or something, and you're just a person who doesn't believe in God. And so it's not a bad word, and I want to take the bad away from it. I can't myself, but I want to offer my voice as the only voice I have to say, I'm an atheist. I'm not a bad person.
So let's look at a clip where you're actually talking about championing the word atheist on your tour.
Because the word atheist is a word that just makes people jerk back and hope that you're not going to hit them in the face. But I'm really on kind of a little crusade here to try to take back that word, or not take it back. It's not like we ever had it. But to destigmatize it and to help people as much as we can realize that we're not bad people. We're not angry. We're not mad at God. We're not mad at, I've started to say not mad at anyone, but with the current political state, I really can't say that. Such as it is. We're not unkind. We're not, sacrificing babies in the basement at night. We're not doing anything evil and wrong. We just simply don't believe in God. And I've told several Christians that you and I are both atheists. I just believe in one fewer God than you do.
So you were actually talking in a church there, weren't you? That was the Unitarian Church?
Uh-huh.
So you're still at the pulpit?
Well, that was the first time I'd been in church and speaking in a church. Well, maybe been in church. Speaking for like 10 years, from the pulpit, delivering a sermon. It was a little weird.
But Unitarians are very
open.
Creedless and
it's
open.
Creedless, lots of atheists in Unitarians.
Fairly harmless.
So a lot of people talk about having a bucket list. Mm-hmm. What do you say to that? Do you have a bucket list now?
Yeah. I've been asked that a lot, actually. And my bucket list is, originally when I got the diagnosis, that I'm going to travel as much as I can and do the things I can do until I just can't do them. And that quickly morphed into the Dying Out Loud thing, because I started talking about these things, these issues that are important to me, dying as an atheist, living out loud, living your best life, grabbing the moments, not letting this life pass you by in deference to a life that you think's coming, and that nonsense. And so when I started talking about these things, it kind of morphed into the Dying Out Loud thing. We didn't sit, with a team of marketers and say, let's come up with some catchy thing to do. It just kind of organically happened. And so as that developed, my bucket list kind of changed. And I still want to see places I haven't seen and travel as much as I can. But it's really more and more about connecting with people and about the human connection. That's why I do travel. I can reach more people with my message doing podcasts and YouTube shows and TV shows, and there's a huge audience that hears that, but I want the human connection. I want the one-on-one, the hug, the laugh, the tears, that human element that I just find so compelling. You can tell.
Yeah.
It's just, it means everything to me. And so that is my bucket list, that human interaction with other people, spreading this, because I've seen the responses, and it's overwhelming. And I'm so grateful, as odd as that sounds, to have this platform in this season of my life to do this.
So you've been to Madison, Wisconsin now. You can cross that off the list, right?
That wasn't on my bucket list, Dan. I'm sorry.
Well, here you are. Here you are today. So
it's a nice city, but I don't think it makes too many bucket lists.
Cute. It's cute.
So Dying Out Loud is a campaign. Is there a website for Dying Out Loud?
Yes, Dying Out Loud was taken. So DaveOutLoud.com.
Dave, D-A-V-E, outloud.com.
And it's got all the links to all our stuff.
And there's stuff you can buy there, right?
Yes, I was going to say, I was telling you earlier, we should have brought you a coffee mug. We have Dying Out Loud mugs. I was wearing a T-shirt yesterday on the plane that's got my face about the size of a pumpkin, and no one wants to see that. But everybody goes, "Is that your face on a shirt?" I said, "Yeah, you can get these," and I give them my business card. And it's just, I'm evangelizing still, Dan.
Wow. You know, maybe once a preacher, always a
Always a
preacher. You
preacher.
know, I guess some of us are just can't stop talking.
Can't stop it.
Now, we just have about a minute left, but you've also said that people focus on the wrong things, that having this disease has kind of opened your eyes to that. Do you want to just briefly talk about that?
Yeah, that's what I meant by being grateful for this opportunity, this platform that I've been given, because not very many of us get a chance to make a mark and leave it. And so I've been given that with this disease that I never would have gotten without it. So the odd paradox of that is beyond comprehension. But it's caused me to narrow my focus. Like I said, I got rid of stuff that didn't matter, and I've really lightened my load and trimmed the sails. And I just live very lightly. And I try to focus on what's important. And to me, that's people and that connection. And it's caused me to be able to do that in a way that I never have before.
Well, we are so grateful for you for coming on the show. Thank
loving
you very
being here.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brother Dave, for
Brother
being on
Dan.
the show.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching Free Thought Matters.
Because free thought matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Pinker. In my book, Enlightenment Now, I show that the world has become a better place as reason has been overcoming superstition and tribalism. But the values of the Enlightenment are under attack. That's why I'm a proud member of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest association of free thinkers working to keep state and church separate. Please join me in supporting the Freedom from Religion Foundation to ensure that our government is driven not by religion, but by reason.